from throwing chairs in courtrooms to attacking judges. Let's see the most disrespectful defendants of all time. A Florida man, Joseph Ziley, was found responsible for taking the lives of an 11-year-old girl and her babysitter way back in 1990.
More than 30 years after the brutal rape and murder of an 11-year-old and her babysitter in their Cape Coral home, families finally feel some relief. Today, a judge sentenced their killer to death as the jury recommended.
The case had gone cold for decades until DNA evidence finally tied Zieler to the scene. But even with all that proof, Zieler kept saying he had nothing to do with it.
Where were you on May 9th and 10th of 1990?
I was in Maryland.
Mr. Zieler, you've heard experts testify in this case that they are convinced that at least one, if not all three, of the sites of semen or of other bodily fluid that were placed on the bed sheet, the pillow, and or the exterior of the young lady's genitalia was your semen. Is that possible?
No, it's not.
Things took a shocking turn in court when Zieler's own attorney, Kevin Shirley, leaned down to talk to him just before the final decision. Out of nowhere, Zieler threw an elbow right into his attorney's face.
What's that?
Which one? Right here. Come on.
Bailiffs jumped in and quickly tackled Zieler to the ground as the courtroom erupted in chaos. Eventually, the judge gave him the highest sentence possible for what happened in 1990. Zieler's final stunt in court only proved how little he cared about the rules and everyone's safety. Here comes TJ Lane. TJ Lane, the Ohio teen who was responsible for that tragic incident at Chardon High School back in 2012. During his court hearing, Lane didn't just show a complete lack of remorse. He took it to a chilling new level.
Defendants remanded to the Geauga County Safety Center pending transport to a state of Ohio penal institution. Counsel have anything further to state on the record at this point? Mr. Fleiss.
Yes, Your Honor. Just for purposes of the record, I would like the record to reflect that upon arriving at sentencing today, the defendant took off his dress shirt, revealing an undershirt with the word killer written on it, similar to the shirt that he wore on the date of the offense.
Instead of showing any sign of regret, he wore a shirt with a shocking message on it and smirked at the families of the people he hurt. His attitude was cold and unsettling, and it left everyone in the room shaken.
And I would also like the record to reflect that during his statement to the court, the defendant extended his middle finger towards the victim's families.
First, I can't confirm or not confirm, but the second I can confirm for the record. Anything further from the state?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else from the defense, Mr. Friedman?
Okay. Your Honor, obviously for purposes of the record, please note the defense's objection. One, to the application of life without parole sentence to juvenile offenders. Number two, to the sentence imposed here in this case. And then, if I may have a moment to consult.
When Lane finally spoke, he had nothing to offer but more insults and a twisted sense of pride in what he did. His complete lack of respect for the pain he caused was a final slap in the face to those families. The judge gave Lane the highest possible punishment under Ohio law, and Lane's chilling demeanor proved just how remorseless he truly was. In Jacksonville, Florida, 24-year-old Rake Mitner had a hearing that quickly turned dramatic when he started acting out in court. He was facing serious accusations of kidnapping and 2 counts of battery. He'd already been serving time for an armed robbery a year later. As the judge began the routine hearing, Mitner unexpectedly lashed out, yelling, "Leave!" again and again.
Leave! You leave! Leave!
His lawyer looked stunned, and even the judge seemed surprised by the sudden burst. Despite the outburst, the judge tried to keep things calm.
Leave! You leave! Leave!
but Mitner kept raising his voice, shouting at everyone in the courtroom, especially the bailiffs. Eventually, the bailiffs had to step in and remove him from the courtroom to a holding area. This heated scene delayed the case a bit. Later, Mitner was checked for mental fitness and received treatment. Once that was done, the court proceedings picked back up, and he eventually admitted to his actions, receiving 25 years of time in custody along with extra supervision afterward. This is Michael T. Cox Jr., a Tularosa man who found himself in serious trouble after the jury decided he was guilty of inappropriately touching his girlfriend's young daughter. The courtroom was already tense after the verdict was read out loud. Instead of staying calm, Cox let his anger get the best of him. He jumped up and lunged at the prosecutor, Deputy District Attorney Scott Key, just as Key was heading back to his table. The whole room was shocked. The judge, jury, and everyone else froze for a second before deputies rushed in to stop Cox and drag him out of the courtroom. After everything, Cox was sentenced to 18 years in prison for sexual violence and another 6 years for felony battery and misdemeanor aggravated battery. In Grand Rapids, Michigan, Jal Hoskins had a tense moment in court when he was sentenced for causing the loss of his girlfriend's life. The judge gave him a hefty sentence, 50 to 100 years, after Hoskins admitted his involvement in the incident.
You have 42 days to appeal. You are remanded to the custody of the Department of Corrections for service of this sentence. Thank you, Your Honor.
Just after the sentence was announced, Hoskins' frustration boiled over. He grabbed a reading table and threw it toward the judge, yelling at the victim's family in the process. Court deputies quickly stepped in and removed him from the room. Now he faces decades behind bars, where maybe he'll learn some serious lessons about respect and responsibility. In Pike County, Mississippi, Sidney Newsom's day in court took a surprising turn. Shackled and handcuffed, Newsom was there on a domestic violence charge. Initially, he seemed calm, even sharing a little dance. But then things quickly spiraled. As his mom entered, his focus shifted. The judge tried to keep things under control, but Newsom had other ideas. He threw paperwork around like confetti when tossing a phone over a judge and knocking over a computer monitor. Seeing enough chaos in the court, Judge Aubrey Rimes pinned Newsom down himself. Eventually, Newsom faced extra charges of contempt and 48 more hours in jail. This is Jordan Rhodes, a 20-year-old from Columbus, Indiana, who showed up late to his probation violation hearing and soon turned it into a spectacle. He had already gotten in trouble for violating court orders, and this time he was looking at extra time behind bars. As the judge handed down his contempt of court ruling, Rhodes' frustration exploded. He stormed to the back, grabbed several chairs, and started hurling them toward the bench and court staff. Deputies quickly restored order, and Rhodes was removed without serious injuries to anyone. His outburst landed him charges for battery on public officials and contempt of court. As part of a plea deal, he admitted guilt and received sentences totaling 5 years in prison, with some sources reporting up to 6 years with a plea bargain. This is Melissa Harvick, who was in a routine domestic hearing in Wayne County, Kentucky, when things took a shocking turn. She'd already been cited for contempt and hit with a 10-day jail sentence for disrupting the proceedings.
Business has nothing to do with
Miss Hardwick,
no.
You will be held in contempt of this court if you become disruptive.
I don't care. I haven't done anything to this court. Haven't done anything to him.
So you'll be arrested for contempt of court.
It doesn't make any difference.
You will serve 10 days for contempt of court.
As the judge read her sentence, Harvick suddenly lunged forward, leaping over the bench toward Judge Jennifer Upchurch Edwards.
Go now.
Court staff and deputies sprang into action, quickly restraining her before anyone could get hurt. Despite getting tangled with the judge's desk, everyone in the room escaped unharmed. Harvick was arrested again and faced new charges, adding assault and disrupting the court to her original contempt citation. The judge stayed composed, sending a clear message. Courtroom decorum is non-negotiable, no matter how upset someone might be.